Hey folks, time at the Butcher for Wise Guys Barbecue. It's all about beef tenderloin today. I'm sure many of you have picked a whole beef tenderloin up at some point in time in the cryovac, only to get it home and kind of struggle with what to do with it. Now, there's a lot of information out there, a lot of material showing exactly how to break these down, but quite frankly, a lot of them that I see are not maximizing the full potential. So I know me myself, if I'm spending $20 a pound on a beef tenderloin, I want as much beef tenderloin as I possibly can get out of this cut. So I'm about to show you how you can do that at home. But before we get started, please like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you will not miss an episode. Stick around, we're butchering together. All right, we've got a whole beef tenderloin here. We're gonna get this thing broken down, and I'm gonna do it in a way that's gonna maximize the potential to give you nothing but tenderloin and fillets out of this, because quite frankly, there are a lot of videos out there where they'll clean this thing all down and they'll generate some nice fillets or a nice Chateaubriand out of the middle. But once they get to this tip and once they get to this wide end, which is called a butt tender, that's where I see there's some opportunities that can be had. So I'm gonna show you a way to maximize this so you won't have these pieces to grind or to make stew out of or to make stir fries. I see all those different techniques being done, breaking down tenderloins. But quite frankly, if I'm gonna buy a tenderloin, I wanna get the most yield out of it. I don't wanna be grinding. I don't wanna be making stew. I don't wanna be making tacos or anything like that. I want nice fillets and I want them uniform. So let's get to work on this. I'm gonna show you just how you can do this at home. So first thing, there's a lot of, there's like a membrane on top of this, and you can do it with your fingers. You don't need a knife at all. So right from this wide end, just kind of grab a lot of this loose fat that you see up here. And if you keep pulling and tugging, you'll begin to loosen it up, and you can literally pull it right off. Now, while I'm doing this, there's one thing I want to let you know. Along the side of this, everybody knows there's what's called a chain. There's a chain along, it's on my backside. We're gonna be separating that out and pulling it. So let's get this top fat off first of all. All right, now we're gonna get the chain removed. Now that we have that membrane from the top gone, it'll open up and we'll gain access to this, the chain right along the side here, and you can see it. And initially, all you'll need is your hands, your fingers. That'll do most of the work. A knife is not needed initially. So I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna grab this chain, and it's quite easy just to come in here. You're gonna pull, literally just pull it. That seam will automatically separate from the muscle, the main muscle. Eventually you'll get to a spot where, you know, a knife would be beneficial to use. So we're getting this chain off. All right, and there's that chain. Now, what can you do with this? Well, first of all, this is probably I would say, the most least desirable piece of meat from the whole tenderloin. There's not much you can do with it. There's a lot of sinew, a lot of connective tissue, a lot of Silverskin. So, in my opinion, I mean, you could clean this up, make some stew meat out of it. This is the only part of the tenderloin, in my opinion, should you be either grinding or making stew out of it. So I'm really not gonna waste my time with this other than taking some of the Silverskin off, because I wanna grind this. This is the only thing I'm gonna grind on this entire tenderloin. So I'm gonna leave the fat that's on there because I want a fairly decent fat content, because if you ask me, 80-20 is the best ground beef, and 80% lean, 20% fat. So I think we're gonna achieve this with chain. So the chain's off to the side. All right, what are we gonna do next? There's a lot of Silverskin on top of this, so that needs to be removed. Now, this is pretty simple as well. We're gonna start from the wide end, and all you need to do is get the tip of your knife, get it underneath that Silverskin, and just follow it right down to the end. Once you've done that, you've opened up an angle where you can get underneath the Silverskin. So you're gonna pull with one hand, and with your knife, just literally go right along the entire length. All right, next we have to flip this over. And as you can see, there's a lot of fat and tissue from where it was attached to the bone. So we're gonna come in and very gently, you don't wanna go too deep with this. Just take some of the surface meat off. And right here where there's a seam where that butt tender is, there's a little wedge of fat. We want to take that out of there. All right, so there we have the clean tenderloin. Now the first thing I want to remove from here, we want a Chateaubriand. I'm looking for about a 2-pound Chateaubriand. And the Chateaubriand is that center part of the tenderloin. So right where this butt tender ends is where I want to begin my cut. And I want to go down maybe 6 to 8 inches and finish towards the narrow end. So there's our Chateau, all cleaned up. I'm going to trim it up just a little bit more. All right, here's our Chateau. Here comes the interesting part. So that leaves us with our butt tender, which is actually where where it begins, right around the hip of the animal. Now, you got to picture this. The entire beef tenderloin runs along the spine on the inside of the rib cage. And it begins or ends, depending on which angle you're looking at it. It begins from the hip area and will just continue on up towards the New York strip or the sirloin part of the short loin. So where the hip area is, it's a double, you can see the two muscles and it's separated by a seam called the butt tender. And this tip, I'm gonna show you how you can get all uniform tenderloin filet mignons out of this right now. So very simple. First thing we want to do is on this butt tender, I want to separate right where that seam is, where these two muscles are. All right, so now I'm created two muscles that are fairly equal in size. We're going to get a little bit of this silver skin that we've exposed on this part. All right, there's two there. And we have our tip, which, quite frankly, I see a lot of people struggling on how to maximize this. Normally, I see it going to stew meat, stir fry, but I'm gonna get some uniform filet mignons out of this as well. As you can see, it's beginning to shape up like from one narrow thing to, you know, this big wide butt tender. Now they're all beginning to look uniform in shape, as you can see. So you're already beginning to picture how I'm gonna get uniform fillets out of this part of the tenderloin. All right, so I'm just gonna cut steaks out of here, basically. Nice, maybe 1.5 to 2 inch steaks. When it gets down to this, we can utilize this and create a steak that's gonna be equal to these. And how am I gonna do that? Because you see, one side's wide, the other side has got a very narrow taper to it. So I'm gonna square off this back end just a little bit. I'm gonna go in here and cut one more steak. And then at this point, I'm gonna stand it up on end. And I'm just gonna use my hand to basically just push it on down. And there you go. All it took was a little bit of pressure because of the texture and the characteristic of a tenderloin. It's very pliable, it'll move, it's very tender. So you can, just with a little pressure, create a nice fillet, maximizing that little narrow taper on one end. So now we're coming into these. This one. And we have that final piece, the third piece. I'm just gonna square off the front. Now, as you can see with this final piece, that has that taper as well that we saw with the tip part of it. I'm gonna use that same technique. I'm just gonna pick it up, put it on its end, on the narrow end. I'm just gonna kind of grab it in my hand so it'll kind of hold its shape. And at the same time, all you gotta do is just press on it a little bit. Put a little weight on it. And it just made a beautiful filet mignon out of that, just by that little bit of pressure. So we have it, folks. We had a whole beef tenderloin with 7.5 pounds. We got a nice 2.5 pound Chateaubriand, and we ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 nice filet steaks. No stir fry, no stew meat. We spent big bucks for a beautiful tenderloin, and we got the maximum yield out of that piece of meat. Now this here, like I said, highly recommend that you grind that. I know none of you have a grinder at home, but if you do have a food processor, we did a ground beef, ground pork a while back on one of our cooks when we did the bolognese sauce. I actually ground up our own beef, ground up our own pork. So if you just check out that link, look at that video, and you can see exactly how we made ground beef and we made ground pork, just utilizing a food processor. All right, so there you have it, folks. 7.5 pound beef tenderloin, all broken down. Stay tuned next week because we're gonna be doing Beef Wellington for you. And in an upcoming video, gonna do something special with these fillets. So I hope you like what we did for you today. Please like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you will not miss an episode. This is Tommy the Butcher for Wise Guys Barbecue. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.